Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're doing an all-pro talk today, getting our all-pro list going out, and maybe even a all we do is talk team. I'm here with Moody and Isaiah. How we doing today, guys?
What's good, y'all? Doing well, Eric. Time to give guys some flowers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All right, so let's start with the quarterbacks. I think these two are pretty easy to pick, but we'll hear anyway. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are clearly the two for all pro.
Yeah, I think that's pretty unquestioned. These guys are going to win the MVP. One of these guys win the MVP, and the other guy's coming in second. So that it just makes sense for these to be the all pro quarterbacks.
Yeah, stats, team success, all backs up. The only thing I'd say is I'd question who would you pick as the third, the honorable mention, because we all since it's so consistent. Would you go? So that's what I'm asking. Would you go with Stafford, Dak, Herbert, or Allen? Because that's what
I think you go Mahomes too.
Or Burrow.
I think you go Mahomes. I think you go Burrow. Yeah,
you could go. So like, who would y'all go with? Of course, I'm going to go with Stafford because he was second in touchdown.
I'll take Mahomes.
You take Mahomes.
I'll take Mahomes.
Yeah, I'll take Mahomes.
I'll take Mahomes because we had a struggle during the year, so like that's the reason why he ain't won the top two.
But his stats are still Mahomes stats.
His stats were still ridiculous. They still managed to be the 1 seed in the AFC somehow. 2 seed in the AFC. So and they could have been one, but Tennessee didn't manage not to slip up, so good for them. But yeah, Mahomes, he's still the best QB in the league. He didn't exactly have the best season, but of the Josh Allen, Dak, Stafford guys, I think he's still proven to be more valuable.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to running backs. Who are your two running backs?
I got Jonathan Taylor as the first team, and I'll go with Derrick Henry as the second team. Despite Derrick Henry only playing half a season, he was the best running back in the league when he played. And come on, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I actually switched up. Me and Moody had talked about this early. And while I believe Henry was the best running back still this year, I think his offensive line isn't the offensive line the Colts are. But even though we've seen a lot, the Titans still run the ball pretty effectively with backups. But I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor because, of course, he was the best running back this year. Probably could have been the OPOY if not for a fluky end to his season. But as my second running back, I'm going to go with Joe Mixon. I thought he had an amazing year, and he played the full season. I think he was like second in touchdowns or something like that.
He was awesome, definitely.
And he brought something that he brings the running dynamic to that Cincinnati Bengals offense, and he also can catch out the backfield. And I thought the honorable mention to Austin Eckler, who also scored a lot of touchdowns and had a lot of all-purpose yards this year.
He had a very good season, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm going Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon too. I think both of them put complete years together. And number 3 for me would be Eckler as well. He was on the fantasy team doing wonders for me this year until playoff time came around and he was on the list. So
I will also say that Alvin Kamara, besides the injuries, he showed some other reliability. Like they used him a lot when he had this career high in carries. He showed that he could he might not be able to hold up a full workload, but he showed some different characteristics to his game this year.
Yeah, that's why my honorable mention is going to be Najee Harris in Pittsburgh because he went through it, man. But he had the worst OL situation in the league, and he still managed to find ways to be productive and make plays. Of course, he saw all the workload, didn't put a single ball on the ground. He was excellent in the passing game too. So I'll give Najee Harris the nod for the third spot.
All right, let's keep it moving. We'll go to wide receivers. I think this one's a deeper, but I think there's two like obvious for this. But who wants to start?
We actually went 4 deep with this. 2 on the first team, 2 on the second team, so we went 4 deep. We can just go through first team.
We got Cooper Kupp.
Second team. Cooper Kupp, consensus obvious. Like how can he not be? He won the Triple Crown, best receiver in the league.
Which LSU guys do we have to get to pair with Cooper Kupp?
I don't have an LSU guy. I have a small school guy named Mr. Debo Samuel. That's my other all-pro receiver. He was 1,400 receiving yards, and he also played running back. He was simply incredible this year. I think he carried an offense that he was really the only talented player for half the season.
But when he went away, Brandon Ayuk played big. There's other talent.
There's other talent in there, but like Ayuk was in the doghouse. Kittle was hurt. Mitchell was hurt. Yeah, they asked Debo to do everything for them. So I'll have Debo as my other all-pro first team.
You know how I feel about my LSU boys. So I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase as my compliment for Cooper Kupp. He showed up to Cincinnati. Everybody said that they shouldn't draft him, so he just puts up 1,500 yards, beats man coverage religiously all year long against some really good man corners. 8 Pittsburgh and Baltimore, two of the hardest defense, even though, they had a down year.
This year they were not good.
This year might have been the year.
That in context.
But I saw Marlon Humphrey's matchups, cooked them up. Yeah, that's what I would go. And so that, of course, means I'm going to go with Debo on my second with Justin Jefferson, because Justin Jefferson is has the greatest receiver start stat-wise to a career. And we know what type of receivers have been in this league.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to go Devontae Adams on first team. Devontae is one of the best route runners in the league. He just had a great year, and his connection with Aaron Rodgers is unmatched to anyone in the league. So I'm going to go Devontae Adams, and then I don't know what to do with Debo because I want my second team to be Chase and Jefferson, but I can't. I feel like I can't leave Debo Samuel off the list.
Oh man, it's tough.
Who you going with second team?
My second team, I'll have Devontae Adams, of course. He was terrific as usual, just not as terrific as some of these other guys. And Justin Jefferson, because the numbers, the production is just too ridiculous.
So you left Chase off.
I left Chase off, yeah. I think Chase had too many peaks and valleys throughout the season. Now his peaks were better than anybody's. If it was all pro first team for peaks, Jamar Chase would be won by a mile. But these guys I think were more consistent for 17 games.
Remember that argument. I'm gonna bring that up later for somebody else. Eric, you want to finish out? You made a decision. Cut one of the LSU guys or cut Debo.
I think I'll go Justin Jefferson and Debo Samuel.
Okay. I also believe there's a flex position on this All-Pro team now. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. We could use.
We'll find a way to fit somebody in there when we go through the list, and we'll see who's left.
It's next. Flex is next because it's usually it's a running back and or receiver. So
or tight end.
I left out Devontae Adams, so he has to be my flex because he would have been my next guy. I just think he had a great year, but I just think the other guys had as good of years, playing with lesser quarterbacks, and are just better. That's just my opinion about that. But Devontae Adams' stats are still, he's still him. He's ridiculous. So consistent.
Yeah, I'll go with Chase for my flex spot.
And you could have won with a running back too. So.
It's I didn't really think there was a third, fourth running back that was deserving. Yeah. Chubb, Cook, Zeke, you could, but not really. So yeah, I'll go with Jamar Chase. Best rookie offensive player of the year. He was absolutely. He could be OPOY in a different year, in a year that isn't so productive with offensive talent. But yeah, I'll go with Chase as a flex spot. He deserves to be an All-Pro player. They created a position for guys who barely didn't make their cut, and that's what he is.
Eric?
Yeah, I'll go with Chase as well. Just flip Debo or whoever. I think that all of those guys are the top weapons in the league.
Yeah. I just assume – so we're going to go – technically tight ends are next, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So I just assumed nobody was going to pick a tight end to be on it. So now that I think about it, okay, so Travis Kelce –
Travis Kelce actually my second team tight end.
Second team tight end.
I think Mark Andrews is your clear tight end in one of the season. He had the best numbers for a tight end. He carried an offense. He carried a not so great offense pretty much all year. Whenever Baltimore didn't make a play, it was just throw it to Mark Andrews and pray. And a lot of times he made it happen. The comeback against the Colts was basically because of Mark Andrews. He carried Tyler Huntley to help him be good on offense. So yeah, Mark Andrews tight end one All-Pro team.
Damn, I feel sorry for Mark Andrews because I would have gone Travis Kelce. I'm going to go Travis Kelce one because Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. What he did in the LAC game technically is the reason that LAC is at home and Kansas City is in the 2 seed. But I was going to go with Kyle Pitts as my second team player to be a rookie tight end, put up 1,000 yards, break the Mike Ditka single season record for a rookie, and playing with Matt Ryan, who they and a team that really didn't know how to use him. And then when they started learning how to use him, his number one receiver left. And then he became the number one. So I'm going to put that on him. I think Mark Andrews would be my honorable mention. He did have a great year. Sucks that I forgot to go with Kelce over him. Maybe some favoritism, but I couldn't leave Kelce.
You can't leave Kelce off the list, so somebody has to get screwed. Okay.
Well, I am leaving Kelce off the list. I'm going Mark Andrews, first team. I think he's the obvious one. I'm going George Kittle in the second team because I think where he came back and that team skyrocketed into the playoffs. He is the heart and soul of that team, I think. And I think this year showed his importance on that team.
Yeah. That's not a bad one.
All right, let's keep it moving. I think that's all for offense. So let's
weapons.
The weapons. Yeah, for the weapons. Let's start at left tackle.
It will just do tackle in general instead of having left tackle, right tackle leaning. For my first team, this will be Trent Williams. PFF gave him the highest grade ever for a player, period. I don't know if he was that amazing, but he's pretty damn spectacular. There's a reason why they had to give him $120 million. He's the best run blocking offensive lineman in the NFL.
I've seen in my life.
You can make that argument too. He's an absolute monster, destroyer of people, and he's still more than a lockdown and pass protection to get the job done there. His impact is palpable. He changed his life for that offensive line. So yeah, Trent Williams would be my tackle one.
I'm gonna go with Trent Williams as well. I just said it. He's the greatest. Mm-hmm. He's the greatest left tackle of this generation, probably, barring
in a generation of fantastic offensive tackles.
Barring a middle stint where he might have. Where we were led to believe he had cancer, apparently. Some Washington football team shenanigans, and ever since he's gotten to San Francisco, you could make a debate that he could have been the OPOY this year of how, like you said, he got the greatest grade. I don't think he got beat for one sack, and he's a greater, mauler.
And he's better in the run game. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't go Trent Williams this year with him. I mean, not giving up a sack is all that you need in a left tackle, so I think he's by far the best one this year.
All right, for second team, I'm gonna give my man Ty Smith a well-deserved spot. He was fantastic pretty much all year. Just he battled through some injuries, so he missed I think 3 games, but and one of them was for COVID. So overall, relatively healthy for himself. And when he's out there, you can see the difference. You saw 2020 Cowboys offense versus 2021. When he's out there, it's a totally different team because he can hold himself down on the island.
You need 2 tackles on a team, by the way.
Yeah, that's my second tackle.
You said second team. You said second. Yeah, you need 2 tackles.
So we need 4 tackles?
You need 4 tackles.
Oh, 4 tackles seems like a lot.
Well, I got the other 2 because Ty Smith's my other guy, but he's on my second team.
Okay.
I'm going to round out Rashad Slater.
Yeah, Rashad Slater would have been my
other one, and Tristan Wirfs as my second team, then pair with Tyrell. So those would be my 4 tackles. I'd go Williams and Slater for first team, and Ty Smith and Wirfs on my second team.
Yeah, I'm going Wirfs on the first team, and then I'm going to go Lane Johnson and
that's a good name. He had a good season. But yeah, comparing Tristan Wirfs, the impressiveness of Tristan Wirfs to stay consistent, doesn't give up sacks.
Yeah,
better in the run game.
He also got Tom Brady helping him out, but yeah, he's pretty terrific. He's pretty terrific.
That's probably the reason he's as great as you are. And then for Rashad Slater, plug and play left tackle that barely got beat all year, protecting one of the best quarterbacks, so he's very valuable. I just think that those are the 4 best tackles in football.
Yeah. Well, Bakhtiari being
he missed the whole year, so yeah, it's a wash. And then 2 guys, maybe the guys in Cleveland, you could say, but those are the guys I'd go with. And Eric saying Lane Johnson, he had a great year. He left for that mental health issue problem that he was having for a little bit. But every time he's on Philly, playing for them, their O-line becomes he's a force multiplier at O-line. Yeah. Eric, you rounding out the rest of your tackles. You go ahead.
My thing's not loading up right now, so just move to guards.
Guards. Some of the more underrated players on the team. I'm gonna let you go first, Willie, because I think we're gonna have the same guys.
All right. Well, obviously, are we doing 4 here?
Yeah.
Obviously, first team, Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson. Those are the best guards in football. You see it when they play. Jonathan Taylor's leading the league in rushing for a reason. Zach Martin, his clout is set in stone.
Zach Martin, Quentin Nelson is Quentin Nelson.
Exactly.
They are a runaway tandem for guards. Second team's hard. The fall off is kind of steep after those guys, but I'll take Ali Marpet on Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Because I thought Tampa Bay he did a good job in the run game. He's a instigator out there. Him and Jensen, they're annoying. And I will take for my second guard the files from LAC. Feeler.
Yeah, I think from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh that went to LAC.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a good season. A part of the reason that LAC was able to rebuild their offensive line. Good money well spent, and I just think he had a better season than Joe Bitonio, who would be my honorable mention.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Eric, you ready?
Yeah. How do you not go the ND boys and Nelson and Martin for the top 2 spots? And then I'm going to go Shaq Mason from the Patriots. and Ali Marpet from the Bucks.
I'll go my second team. I went with Joe Tooney from Kansas City, and I went with the other guard in New England, Mike Owenwu.
He's been
because New England obviously a fantastic offensive line. He had another terrific season as well.
All right, let's keep
center going to be.
Center can be too deep. There's only one center on the line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Center one.
I was gonna say is a consensus. I think it's gonna be consensus.
We'll see. Center one for me would be Creed Humphreys from Kansas City. He was like he plugged and played. There was no reason for him to even make it to Kansas City in the draft, but somehow he did. He helped revamp their running game, especially in the interior. They were super solid right there, where they probably struggled more at tackle than they did at the interior. I think Creed Humphrey helping make the calls for Mahomes and stuff like that was huge for their offensive line being rebuilt. So I'll take Creed Humphrey as my center one for the All-Pro team.
I'll also take Creed Humphreys. A position that the Giants should have taken the way he was falling. We need a center badly, and now you're gonna have to take one at his talent and hope that in the first round you get someone of his ilk. But he was great. And then second team, Corey Lindsay, worth all the money that LAC paid him.
Big money.
That offensive line turned around they got 3. Now they didn't have any All-Pro offensive linemen last year. This year they might have 2 to 3.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Creed Humphrey has the first team, and Corey Lindsay has the second team. I think those are the 2 best centers in the league.
I like Rodney Hudson for my second team All-Pro center. He changed life for Arizona's offensive line. When he plays, they're a different team.
Better, yeah. So I guess the official All We Do Is Talk team will be quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Are we all consistent as Aaron Rodgers?
Yep.
Running back will be Jonathan Taylor.
No doubt.
Receivers will be Cooper Kupp.
And I think it was all a mix because you both.
I have Jefferson. I have
Eric, who'd you have on your first team?
Devontae and Cooper.
Yeah, it's like I had Debo. We all had different second receivers. So
what do we have on our second
Devontae and Justin Jefferson are fighting for the.
So luckily spot. We actually have 3 spots because we all gave our flex to a receiver.
Okay.
So is Cooper Kupp consistent? Devontae was on all of our teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can go to flex.
Devontae made everybody's team, so he can be on.
Devontae, but I'm going to say so who would be the third receiver?
I think Debo. I think Debo's the guy who made every single person team that he didn't get an honorable mention or flex spot. He made all 4 receiver spots for us.
I mean, but now we're gonna pick. We all know we're picking 3 receivers.
Yeah,
so we're all
we know
Debo?
We know Kupp's on there, and we know Adams is on there. So those are the 3 guys who all made the team, or all made the All-Pro team.
So I would say Jefferson.
2 people's list.
I would say Jefferson because he did all make all of our teams too.
Jefferson did too. So
so that's the final. Jefferson or Debo. I could see to Debo
I'll
take
he did
Debo
because I think he did more. I think he did more for his team.
Eric, fight for Jefferson for me here. What you got? Who you going?
I think we're going 3 receivers, or is it 2 with the flex?
So it's going to be 3 receivers. So it's going to be 3 receivers.
Okay. So I'll go Coop, Tay, and Debo.
Debo makes the squad.
Maybe next time LSU they didn't show y'all no love. I tried. And then tight end, Travis Kelce, because he made both teams.
Yeah,
Travis Kelce.
Mark Andrews was our number 1s, Rudy.
Okay, so Mark Andrews is the number 1. That's fine. He was both your guys' number 1, and that's how voting works.
Yeah.
Tackle will be
Tyron and Trent, I think.
Tyron and Trent. All right, that's fine. Guard will be Notre Dame guys.
Yep.
And Creed Humphreys at center.
Yeah.
The All We Do Is Talk team. All-Pro team. There we go. So now we're moving on to the other side of the ball, defense. This is going to be interesting. So do we want to start in the back 7 and work our way forward? Or
you got to start on the edge. The game starts up front.
Okay.
We know where the game starts. Edge spot for me, I don't think there'll be too much deviation here. I guess depending on how you define edge. But mine, for me, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, those are your guys for the first team. They manhandled competition, whoever was in front of them all year long. TJ Watt obviously tied the sack record. Myles Garrett had 18 individual sacks, but he had like 3 or 4 counted as half sacks, so he kind of got screwed out of some sack numbers. But overall, for Myles Garrett, he was terrific for the Cleveland Browns. They just didn't really have he was always doing his job. He just didn't have a lot of people stepping up for him.
I want to go clearly TJ. I'm going to put Myles on my second team because I'm going to value helping your team get to the playoffs. So I'm going to go with
Nick Bosa his spot.
I'm going to give it to Max Crosby.
Oh, okay.
But Nick Bosa will be on my second team with with Myles Garrett. So my 4 will be Bosa. So I'll just go. I should go in order. So Watt and Crosby, Bosa and Garrett, the 4 edges for my consideration.
Yeah, we have the same 4. I have TJ and Myles Garrett on first team, and then Nick Bosa and Max Crosby on second team.
I also have Bosa and Crosby on the second team.
Thank you for making that easy for us this year. Interior defensive line. So we got 4 of these. I mean, we know who the king of the interior defensive line is, even though he had a down year this year. But Mr. Aaron Donald, nothing else to say. We know your work. I think after there is when we get into some craziness, because I'm going to say Chris Jones was still good enough to be on my first team. And maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but I'm going to go with Chris Jones and Aaron Donald as my interior defensive line tandem. And I'll think about the second team right here to make sure I'm good with it.
I think Aaron Donald's your clear 1, but my 2 is going to be Jeffrey Simmons from the Tennessee Titans because he was just so good in the run game all year long. And I think he's got a comfortable, well-deserving spot on either the first or second team, but he'll make the first team for me just because Chris Jones had that slow start playing on the edge for a little bit.
I'm going to go Cameron Hayward. I think he was really good this year. I think he rated over 90 this year. I think he did really good stuffing the run for Pittsburgh, but Chris Jones and Christian Wilkinson will be my second team.
Oh, okay. For my second team, I'm going to go with Jeffrey Simmons, who actually I won't argue that we put him on the first team because he actually helped turn around that Tennessee Titans defense. But what was the name I was looking for? Oh, Jonathan Hargraves in Philadelphia, who I was telling y'all in the preseason is a dominant player. Fletcher Cox was great, but I just saw things from Jonathan Hargraves that made me think that he's in his physical peak and mental peak. So he's in his prime, and I just think he's the better of the 2 in his tandem. But it's a really good tandem, and that's how Philadelphia is playing in the playoffs with a tandem like that in the interior.
Yeah, my second team will be Chris Jones and I think it's Javon Hargrave.
Sorry, my guy.
Chris Jones and Javon Hargrave. Obviously, Hargrave, he was so good that he got rested in week 18. That's how dominant he played. He was unbelievable this year. Pittsburgh might have made a mistake letting him walk out the door because he looks every bit worth the money. Philly continues to keep their D tackle stacked. And yeah, Chris Jones, he's the consistent second best D tackle in the league, but this year he had a little bit of a slow start. And my honorable mention will be Mr. DeForest Buckner from the Indianapolis Colts. A little bit forgotten about because the Colts just had such a rough end of the year.
But actually, that's what gets him taken off. Yeah, everybody a part of that.
You're a part of that, so you got to get punished for it. But DeForest Buckner, he's 4.5.
Unless you're Quentin Nelson and Jonathan Taylor. But they was part of that.
when they ran the ball for 100 yards, they won. So I gotta say, Jonathan Taylor and Quentin Nelson were out there doing their jobs.
Yeah, that's a good honorable mention for Mr. DeForest Buckner. We always say it. San Francisco, you made a terrible mistake. I bet you're gonna find out this weekend you wish you had DeForest Buckner. Yeah. All right. So you're good. Go ahead.
Move on to linebacker.
And this is going to be off-ball. I just want to say off-ball linebackers.
Yeah, off-ball. Edge is edge, and then off-ball linebacker is linebacker.
So 4 of them?
That's fine. But, of course, first-team all-pro linebackers, Mr. Micah Parsons. There was not a better linebacker in the league. He did it in the pass rush game. He did it in the run game. He was awesome in coverage, too. Don't really know how you can give it to anybody else. Along with him, his buddy will be Mr. Darius Leonard, another Colt making the squad. It's amazing how this wasn't a playoff team considering all the Pro Bowl, all-pro players we're going to have on the list, but he's a turnover machine. He makes plays happen for that defense. They were obviously the top 2 players on my all-pro team were on the teams that were top 2 in takeaways. If you're giving the ball back for your team, you are super-duper valuable, so I'll give Darius Leonard the other spot for the first team.
And you said it best. Those will be my 2 first-team guys. Those guys turn the ball over. Both of them are multifaceted, can pass rush, can blitz, can cover.
Yeah,
that's what you want from the modern-day linebacker. Second team, I'm going to just knock it out. I'm going to go with Fred Warner. We know what he brings to you coverage-wise. And this was tough, so I'm leaving out Isaiah Simmons as my honorable mention. But I'm going to go with Bobby Wagner holding it down one last time in probably what will be his last season in Seattle. And he's close too because I almost picked Jordan Brooks over him. So Isaiah Simmons and Jordan Brooks will be my first 2 guys out. 2 good young linebackers are probably be future All-Pros.
I'm going to definitely go with Bobby Wagner. I think for 17 games, he was fantastic all year. I wanted Fred Warner, talent and name-wise, he deserves to be on the list. but I don't know if he had the same dominant impact that he has had historically throughout his career. I'm gonna go with Levante David for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take the other All-Pro spot on the second team. He's still the leader of that defense. They're still a dominant run defense, and he's excellent in pass coverage as well. He's the leader of that defense. And the Bucs are in the playoffs for a reason because they're, along with Tom Brady, their defense is still really, really good.
Speaking of that defense, no one said anything about Vita Vea.
Yeah, but Vita Vea, he was hurt for a little bit. That hurt him as well. So that hurt him as well. But yeah, we know Vita Vea's work, of course.
Eric, linebackers.
Our first team is the same. Micah Parsons and Darius Leonard. I think those are the two consensus for it. But for second team, I'll go Devondre Campbell from the Packers. I think he had a really good year as well.
He was really good.
And I'll go Demario Davis for the second team.
Okay, that's good. That's good recognition. What was the guy in LV? That Perryman, he was another guy like Devondre Campbell that just had a random breakout season. Bunch of good linebackers. They all that do a bunch of different things, which is what makes the position so interesting to study, especially in the modern NFL. But that's it for the front seven. So which secondary players do we want to attack first?
And
we have three, I believe, because we're basing this off a nickel defense. If we only pick 2 linebackers per team, we get 3 corners.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go first because I think this is going to be pretty easy. Let's see. For my first team, I'm going to go with Trayvon Diggs. We all know how many interceptions he forced this year. I like a cornerback who forces turnovers. Number 2, I'm going to go with AJ Tyrell. I think he had one of the most underrated seasons of any other player this year. He's probably the only good secondary player in the secondary. And for 3, I wanted to go with a nickel type of corner, but I couldn't help myself and leave out Xavier Howard because Xavier Howard is that dude. He also forces a lot of turnovers. So those are the 3 guys. And after watching Pierre Desir get cooked up by Hunter Renfrow, he was a Colts slot corner.
You talking about Kenny Moore.
Moore. After watching Kenny Moore get obliterated by Mr. Hunter Renfrow, he is out of consideration.
It's tough. You said what, Eric?
No Jalen Ramsey for you, huh?
Yeah, no, that's a surprising one right there. But I could definitely for me, obviously, Trey Diggs, first team All-Pro, 11 picks. It hasn't happened in 40 years. Like it's just hard to fall into something like that. For number 2, for me, it's going to be Jalen Ramsey. I still think Jalen Ramsey was awesome this year, despite moving positions. I think the Rams had used him out of position, which has hurt his overall impact of what he does to teams, what he does best. But for him to be able to learn to play in the slot and still be big time for that team, he made a bunch of clutch fourth quarter interceptions for his team as well. Even if his picks weren't high, he doesn't get a lot of targets, but the threat of him is still very, very big. And for number 3, I'm going to have J.C. Jackson from the New England Patriots. Turnover machine. We know how he is, and he follows the number 1s for that team. Bill puts a lot of trust in him to play handle that scheme, man and zone. He's a big-time playmaker, and he's a big reason why New England is where they are playing in the playoffs. So I'll go with Diggs, Ramsey, and J.C. Jackson.
So that, of course, means Ramsey and J.C. Jackson are my second team. And if I had to pair them with their nickel guy, I guess I would go with homerism, and I'll go with James Bradbury because he still had a great – no, actually, no, I'm going to go with Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore proved something this year. He'd be the third guy. So those would be the 6 corners that I would think of, that I would go with.
Yeah, I'm going to go first team. I'm going to go Diggs and AJ Terrell. I think those are 2 of the top guys this year. I get one more.
Yeah, you get 3 corners because we went with a nickel type of set because we only did 2 linebackers apiece.
Okay. I'll go Darius Slay. I think he had a really good year this year as well.
More touchdowns than Saquon Barkley.
And a shout out to Chido Awuzie. I think he had a great year this year. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love Darius Slay would definitely be on my second team. He had a terrific season. Kenny Moore, I think, deserves a mention, even though the way the season ended was rough on him. But I still think he's a very, very good football player. He had a really good season. And Marshawn Lattimore as your last guy, because unfortunately he didn't make the playoffs.
I'm actually going to edit and take out Marshawn Lattimore. I forgot Patrick Surtain, you were all pro caliber this year.
He was fantastic.
And you will replace Marshawn Lattimore in my list.
He deserves a shout out, Patrick Surtain.
Safeties, I think safeties is easy. Jonathan Simmons is the best single high safety in the league. Derwin James is the best move box safety in the league.
That's crazy because neither one of those guys made my first team. So maybe we are going to have some debate here. My first team All-Pro is going to be Mr. Kevin Byard from the Tennessee Titans. I thought he was sensational in that back end because they don't even have talent back there, honestly. Christian Fulton and Elijah Molden, those are guys, but Kevin Byard had an amazing bounce back year. I give him full credit for that. And my second team guys would be Mr. Micah Hyde from the Buffalo Bills. Even losing Trey White, the Bills' pass defense is still one of the best in the league. He's the guy who does the moving around. He can play the free. He can play split. He can go down to nickel. He does it all for that team. He's a turnover forcer too. So I'll take Micah Hyde and Kevin Byard as my first team safeties.
You actually tie in perfectly with me. I'm sorry, Kevin. You had a great season, but I'm going with both Buffalo Bills guys on my second team. I mean, I didn't give him. I said that we touted how good they were last year, and I guess we thought, DBs are older, and so you always think they were going to lose a step. But this year probably was the best. Every year is another good year of them gets better. So
definitely the best years.
So that's the best safety combo in the league by far. None of us had them in the top 10 last year, but they're both proven that they're top 10 safeties. Just don't ask them about the run after they get ran on for 100 plus yards.
At least they'll bounce back from it.
Sorry, Kevin Byard, you'd be the honorable mention, along with my guy Xavier McKinney, who was top 5 in interceptions this year. Good young player. Still has a little bit of holes in his game, but I think he's making his way to being that type of player.
My first team for safeties is Kevin Byard and Michael Hyde. I think those two are elite at it. And my second team is Marcus Williams from the Saints and Antoine Winfield from the Bucs.
Oh, okay. So this is gonna be interesting to.
Let me just go through my second team real quick. Jonathan Simmons, definitely. Derwin James. The only reason Derwin James didn't make the first team is because you play a little bit more in the box. Y'all were the worst run defense in the league. So you had to have something to do with that. So
yeah, he's the only enforcer. He's the only enforcer.
And I'm gonna give my man J-Ron Curse a mention because he ain't a big name. But for the Cowboys defense, that was one of the very tops in the league, especially in turnovers. He was awesome coming out of nowhere. He guarded tight ends. He made plays in the backfield. He got interceptions as well. He's gonna get a surprising payday. He's a free agent this year. I think you'll be surprised at how much money J-Ron Curse gets on the market.
And we're not gonna fail to mention Daniel Sorensen's favorite person that enjoys watching him, Mr. Tyrann Mathieu. He was good this year, but Daniel Sorensen let him down a lot.
That's all he got. That's all I saw. This was Tyrann Mathieu did this more than the refs last year.
But now it's time to put the team together. This should be interesting.
No special teams?
Well, we got to put the defensive team for together.
Oh, okay. Defensive team. All right.
So edges is everybody's consensus on the edge. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, welcome to the inaugural All We Do Is Talk All Pro team. In the interior, we're going to go with Aaron Donald, and I'm down with Jeffrey Simmons. That's what we're going to go with.
Jeffrey Simmons is good for me.
Linebacker was consensus. Micah Parsons. If he's lucky, he could be on two positions.
He could get multiple.
And who was the other guy?
Darius Leonard.
The maniac. Him and Quinn Nelson and Jonathan Taylor, they get overlooked for the fact that they were part of some monstrosity at the end of the season. In the secondary, this should be interesting. So Trey Diggs is consensus.
I think Trey Diggs is consensus. Everybody had him at 1.
And next will be.
I think Eric. Who was your other guy on your first team?
AJ
Terrell.
So AJ Terrell will make it because he was on my first team too.
AJ Terrell actually didn't make my list, but yeah, AJ Terrell, he'll make the first team.
And the third guy would be Jalen Ramsey.
I think Ramsey, yeah.
Ramsey, Diggs, and
AJ Terrell.
Two of the guys from that 2020 class. And Jalen Ramsey had a down year, and he can still be all pro because he's that good.
That's how good he is.
And at safety, we're going with
Byard made everybody's list.
Except for mine, but he made you and Eric. So yeah,
he made first one of this. And Hyde, because you put both of them on your second team, and me and Eric had them on our first team. So Micah Hyde would be the other spot.
Simmons and Derwin, y'all just miss out.
Make the playoff.
They play safety,
if you like Cole Beasley, if you want to build an all-pro team, you need to be in the playoffs unless you're the Colts.
Well, that's the inaugural all-pro. All We Do Is Talk team. So like Moody said, specialists.
I mean, come on. So do we have to do kicker?
Are you taking Justin Tucker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
I think there's no doubt about it. Now, I like the Raiders guy. The Raiders guy to be
game winner and broke the distance.
Broke the all-time record for kicking. He broke the all-time record. I don't know how that guy don't get to be one.
I'm gonna go with the most effective kicker in the league.
Oh, you give me Graham Gano. Oh, I ain't even think about him.
The team MVP of the New York Giants, and Lord knows he put in some work this year. He no kicker accounted for
y'all won't score no touchdowns, so I mean, you had to do something.
No kicker accounted for a higher percentage of his team points other than Graham Gano.
That's not a compliment.
So Graham Gano, you get it. But if we do two teams, there'd be two kickers. Yeah. Justin Tucker would be number 2, and Daniel Carson.
Daniel Carson's gonna be my number 2.
Would be the honorable mention.
He didn't miss a
kick. Are those the best 3 kickers in the league?
Yeah. Yeah, because nobody else really has good kickers. So yeah, no one else really has good kickers. I like Prater and McManus and those other guys, but you know.
Eric, are you in agreement?
Yeah.
Who's your one?
Justin
Tucker. That's what
matters. Justin Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
You break the record for distance and a game winner, like you're the kicker of the year.
Let's not talk about the false start that happened before that would have made sure that shouldn't have happened, but.
I'm going to give my man Brian Anger the all-pro spotted punter. He was the NFC representative in the Pro Bowl. And after watching Chris Jones punt for 3 years, it's just so refreshing to have a guy who can actually punt the ball 40-plus yards.
I want to take the easy way out and pick Johnny Hekker. So I am. He's been the consensus best punter in the league, and he is that for a reason.
Yeah, I'm going to go A.J. Cole, the third out of the Raiders, had an average of 4.4 impressive hang time. So good for you, first team.
That's how you call it. That's how you call it. I like it.
And my honorable mention or second team guy would be the guy from Pittsburgh. I just don't know his name.
Boswell.
No, that's a kicker.
Oh, punter. Oh, yeah. I have no idea.
Pittsburgh's got the black punter. They got the current black punter.
The other guy, actually, I don't have an honorable mention for punter. It's not necessary.
And then specialists.
You like returner?
You a returner and a gunner. Gunner gets in every year.
A gunner.
Gunner, I'd go with the Giants gunner. He was the fastest gunner in the NFL. Kevon Carrierson, traded for him in the offseason from the Texans. And a lot of he was a speed demon.
Yeah, I'll keep the homerism going. I'll go with my man CJ Goodwin from the Cowboys. He led the NFC in special teams tackles. I think there's nothing else to be said. If you do that, you deserve to be at least one of the spots.
And Eric, feel free to ignore the gunner position because
it is. You can just give a return one.
Return. A kick return or punt return?
Return period. It's just returner.
Braxton Berrios of the Jets.
Yeah, like Braxton Berrios, I think is the guy. And my honorable mention would be the guy from Chicago, Jakeem Grant, because he did more. He has more returns than anybody in the league this year, even though he did it in one game. So got to give him credit for that.
So Justin Tucker. And
we didn't really have we all had different punters.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Justin Tucker and Braxton Berrios.
Yeah.
They put points on the board. The specialists that put points on the board. There we go. Clap them up. Welcome to the team. All right, then. The last thing we got to do is do the final award prediction for the season.
Okay.
So I'm going to start now. We all know that the MVP is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Is that all in consensus?
And just want y'all to know that was my preseason MVP pick to go back-to-back. Aaron Rodgers, that was me. So hope y'all made some money in the preseason.
Anything to say about that, Eric?
No.
Are you gonna fight? You can.
You can fight for your boy. Let the league a touchdown. Let the league a passing yards. You can fight for him. He's not gonna win it, but
I just think because Aaron got the 1 seed, it's a wrap.
I think it's gonna be a closer race than people expected, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers got robbed. OPOI. Are we in consensus that it will be Cooper Kupp because his team didn't lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars on the last day of the season?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
He had the Triple Crown. Can't debate it.
DPOI. Are we in consensus that it's going to be TJ Watt because he broke the sack record?
So is this our DPOI
or is it
who we think's going to get the award? Because those are two different answers.
Who you think's going to get the award?
It's going to be TJ Watt, man. He got the sack record. Like, come on. And he plays for Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh loves robbing Cowboys out of DPOI awards when they didn't have actually better seasons. So,
Eric. TJ Watt, yeah or nay?
Yeah, TJ Watt.
This is pretty easy. Now to the offensive rookies. I will argue that Mac Jones I still think Mac Jones will win the offensive rookie of the year.
I disagree. I think Chase has ran away with that.
I think Waddle also has a case, but I'll go Jamar Chase.
I think Waddle's case is what's going to open the door for Mac Jones.
They might split some receiver votes. Chase in that season, if he's on our All-Pro team,
even though
and none of those other guys made it, I don't know how you don't get the game.
Usually I take the quarterback, but this is going to be like a Saquon Barkley year where the offensive player was just way more special, and he helped his team get to the playoffs, but so did Mac Jones. I think we're all in consensus for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
No question, Michael Parsons.
This is going to be interesting. Comeback Player of the Year. Will it be Dak Prescott, Nick Bosa, and or Joey Burrow?
I'm not going to sit here and dick around with you guys. I'm giving it to Dak. Come on now. Like his team had a better record. Arguably inferior weapons. If we're going to be completely honest. Hey, bro, did I see a Cowboy in the Office of All Pro list? Did I see one?
There were two
Bengals.
There were two offensive linemen.
Two. Well, that's fine. Not a skill. I said weapon. I ain't calling Ty Smith and Zach Martin weapons.
No, they're the best weapons.
We said we don't call offensive linemen weapons. We don't call offensive linemen weapons.
They're not weapons, but they're the best weapon to have on the field.
Y'all gave him all pro. You gave him all pro running back and all pro receiver. So I'm like, if he getting that, I don't know how he could just
now. I would say neither technically made the team. Ty Smith and Zach Martin made the official team when we cut it down to a team.
Okay, and then I would say Dak ain't lose to the Jets or the Bears, and he wasn't top 5 in interceptions either. So Dak Prescott.
I'm interested to see. I think Dak Prescott. The narrative is out there that Dak Prescott will win it, but I believe Nick Bosa should win it because I will give the argument that he's the most dominant at his position. No one's calling Dak or Joe Burrow top 5 quarterbacks technically. People know that Nick Bosa is going to be on that All-Pro team, and he tore his ACL, and he needs.
And it's crazy because we didn't have Nick Bosa on our All-Pro teams for the edge.
He barely. We all said him. He was on the second team.
He was on the second team.
So he missed out because TJ and Miles, but he's top 3 consensus. But that award I believe is just as open as the OPOY.
Yeah,
I mean the offense rookie OPOY. Is that all of them? Coach of the Year. Mike Vrabel, is that consensus?
Yeah, I'm 100% on Mike Vrabel. I think he's clear.
Eric?
Yeah, I would probably say Mike Vrabel as well because they weren't expected to be a 1 seed. So the coach.
I believe Mike Vrabel ran away with it, but between Bill Belichick, Cliff Kingsbury, and Zach Taylor, who is going to be the second place guy? I think.
I'm gonna go with Bill, but they never give Bill any respect for it. But I would go with Bill because I think Bill did more with less.
I gotta go with Zach Taylor because
you didn't like him. That's why you apologize to Zach Taylor for the disrespect you threw with his name.
His offense is amazing. They got the best. They might have the best offense, scheme. They might have the best offensive scheme all around than any other team. Running, passing, combination routes, everything, motion. They might have the best effective offense all the way around. So I'll give him his due. I still think Cliff Kingsbury is a dud, and I still think that's still not gonna bear fruit that they think it will. Eric, what's your answer to that one?
So the second coach of the year?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd give Nick Sirianni a little shout out. I mean, he did. I think they were at the bottom of all of our division this year. So to make the playoffs, I think that's a good benchmark. But I'd probably go with Bill or Sean McDermott.
Sean. Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah, Sean McDermott. Okay. And is that it?
Unless you want to go like executives or something like that. But I think Coach of the Year is probably the last one that they do at the award show.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. That's it for the awards. Another good season wrapped up. I think one of the most competitive seasons for awards, and mainly because offense was so plentiful this year. So, and sacks are more plentiful now for defensive players. So, and interceptions.
Just TJ Watt lucky Mike ain't play edge full time. That's all I'm saying.
But all right, y'all. All right, Eric.
All right, man.